I'm Chief Dan George of the Burns Lake Band. I'm also chair of the First Nation Housing Infrastructure Council in BC. I also sit on the Chiefs Committee on Housing Infrastructure for the AFN nationally, and also Emergency Management and Water for the national. Today I'm going to talk about our transfer of housing and creating a new authority in British Columbia. We do have a project going on. We have a mandate from the BC AFN, the First Nations Summit, and we have a mandate from the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. The three biggest organizations in BC have given us a mandate to create a First Nation Housing Authority in BC. We also have a letter of support from the Leadership Council, which is all three of them put together. So a lot of it came about at our National Chiefs Committee on Housing Infrastructure, that Carolyn Bennett came into one of our meetings and said, do we need ISK anymore? Do we need CMHC? Can we create our own First Nation Housing Authority? So as a BC chief, we don't sit around doing things and thinking about it. We just go about and start doing it. So I created a First Nation Housing Infrastructure Council in BC and created this council. And then first step was to make sure that we have all the chiefs involved in British Columbia, so that we went out and got our mandates from all the chiefs to start this organization, because there's no use creating a housing authority unless everybody wants it. So everybody in BC has informed us that yes, they are interested in creating our own First Nation Housing Authority in BC. So we started creating the authority. Just to get this straight, we are not the authority. We're not going to be in the authority. I'm not going to be running it. I'm not sure who will be running it. We're just creating the authority. And through a lot of our input from a lot of First Nations throughout BC, we've done a lot of engagement sessions throughout BC. And we've got all their input. We've created a few different models on how the housing authority could look like, based on everybody's input throughout BC. And we continue to get everybody's input. And how do we make it better? How do we make the authority better than what ISK is delivering First Nations right now? And how do we create a better authority? Because if we can't create a better authority, why are we doing this in the first place? Because we got to make it better than what we're getting right now. So I believe that, and getting everybody's input from all First Nations in BC, being part of this, creating this authority is what we need to do, and get everybody's input, because we can't do it by ourselves. It's for everybody in British Columbia, so everybody needs to have their own input into it. This is not just a BC thing. This is being done straight across the country. BC seems to be leading the way, so we give advice to other First Nation provinces and give them advice on what we're doing. They don't necessarily have to follow exactly what we're doing, but they can learn from us and some of the mistakes that we've made, and continue to progress forward like everybody else in Canada. Through the mandates we have from all the First Nations across the BC, we still continue to do outreach. We have an MOU with the federal government and ISK on creating this housing authority. Minister Tremblay, talked to him briefly in some of our negotiations with the federal department, and he said he's 100% behind us, because he said ISK has been mandated to disband themselves. So we're right in line to take over from ISK and creating our First Nation Housing Authority. So that's a lot of the work that we're doing in British Columbia. And we'll continue to do some more outreach sessions. They might be a lot more virtual sessions like this one's going to be, due to the COVID epidemic that we're having right now. But we are still in discussions with the federal government on creating our First Nation authority. So we are still moving ahead no matter what happens through this pandemic. And we'll continue to move ahead. But we're looking at different sources like these video conferencing, and to get more input from First Nations throughout BC. And so there'll be some more webinars coming up for input throughout all First Nations throughout BC, so that we can get more input on how to create this authority and what we need to put into that authority. Because how do we make it better? is all up to all the First Nations in BC. What's working for them right now and what isn't working. So we need all that input from all the First Nations in BC to create this authority, because it's for them. It's not for us. It's for everybody. So make sure we get everybody's input